Ladies and gentlemen, you've been walking around for far too long, trying to please people, trying to make everybody else comfortable while you've been uncomfortable with your own life. You've been bending over backwards, not for your own growth, not for your own peace, but because you've been taught that in order to be loved, in order to be accepted, you have to keep giving, keep sacrificing, keep saying yes, when everything inside of you is screaming no. But I'm here today to tell you that it's time to stop being the nice girl. It's time to stop apologizing for your dreams, your desires, your boundaries, and your needs. It's time for you to show up as your authentic self without the mask, without the fear, without the guilt. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, but I've always been the one people can count on. I've always been the one who keeps things together. I've always been the one who looks out for others, who sacrifices my time, my energy, my resources. You've built this reputation of being the reliable one, the nice one, and I understand that. But let me tell you something, baby. There's a difference between being reliable and being a doormat. There's a difference between being compassionate and being taken advantage of. There's a difference between showing love and letting people drain your spirit. You've been so focused on others that you've lost sight of yourself. You've forgotten that you are not the world's emotional support system. You are not the world's perpetual caretaker. You are not put here to be constantly in the background while everyone else takes the spotlight. You were born with purpose, with power, and with greatness inside of you. But it's going to require a shift in how you see yourself, how you value yourself, how you prioritize yourself. It's time to stop letting fear dictate your decisions. You've been afraid to say no because you're worried about disappointing others, worried about what they'll think of you. Let me tell you, people will always have something to say. They will talk whether you're giving or taking, whether you're kind or bold, whether you're quiet or loud. There will always be someone who has something to say about you. So you might as well live your life for yourself. The moment you start living for the approval of others, you've already lost. You cannot build your future on the shaky ground of someone else's opinions. It's time to stop playing small. I see you hiding in the shadows of your own greatness, dimming your light to make others feel comfortable. You're scared to take up space, scared to show up in your fullness because you've been taught that being nice means being humble. But hear me when I say this. Humility is not hiding your greatness. Humility is knowing who you are, owning your worth, and still choosing to serve others out of the abundance of what you've already received. Humility is not about shrinking back or belittling your talents. It's about being secure in your identity, knowing that you were called to be great and walking confidently in that purpose. The world needs your light, your gifts, your wisdom, and it's time to stop pretending that you're not the person who can bring about the change you've been praying for. You've spent so much time trying to make everyone else happy that you've forgotten how to make yourself happy. You've let everyone's needs, wants, and desires become your responsibility, and now you're walking around burnout, overwhelmed, and emotionally exhausted. You've given so much of yourself, but have you given to yourself? Have you filled your own cup? It's time to stop running on empty. It's time to stop giving from a place of depletion. You cannot pour from an empty vessel. You cannot help others when you are spiritually, emotionally, and physically drained. So take a moment, take a breath, and remember that your needs matter, your desires matter, your peace matters. I know you've been taught to be polite, to be gracious, to be accommodating, but let me remind you there's nothing wrong with setting boundaries. There's nothing wrong with saying no. There's nothing wrong with protecting your peace. In fact, there's something powerful about it. You've got to learn to say no without guilt, without apology. You've got to get comfortable with disappointing people because you can't make everyone happy. You can't please everyone, and you weren't meant to. It's not your job to carry the weight of the world on your shoulders. It's time to stop wearing yourself out, trying to be everything to everybody. Let me tell you something about strength. Strength is not always about being tough. Strength is not about always being the one who keeps it all together. Strength is knowing when to take a step back, knowing when to rest, knowing when to prioritize your mental health. Strength is setting boundaries and standing firm in them, no matter what anyone else thinks. Strength is not about sacrificing your peace for the sake of someone else's comfort. It's about knowing your value and being unwilling to settle for anything less. You see, being nice is not the same thing as being strong. Nice girls are often afraid of confrontation, afraid of speaking their truth, afraid of standing up for themselves. But strong women know their worth. They know they are worthy of love, respect, and success. They know that they can't be all things to all people, and they understand that saying no is not a sign of weakness, but a sign of strength. So stop apologizing for having boundaries. Stop apologizing for needing time for yourself. Stop apologizing for... It's important to recognize that setting boundaries is not a sign of weakness, but a powerful act of self-respect. Saying no is necessary for preserving your peace, mental health, and personal growth. For too long, you've prioritized others' needs over your own, but it's essential to remember that your happiness and well-being matter just as much. You cannot pour from an empty cup. So take time to refill and focus on your own needs. You were born with purpose and greatness inside of you. Don't shrink yourself to make others feel comfortable. Stand confidently in your abilities and pursue your dreams without fear of judgment or disapproval. You can't live your life trying to please everyone. The approval of others should not dictate your decisions or sense of self-worth. It's time to live authentically, knowing that you cannot make everyone happy and that that's okay. For too long, society has conditioned us to believe that being nice, being accommodating, and constantly putting others before ourselves is the ideal way to live. We've been taught that in order to be loved, to be accepted, and to be valued, we must constantly give, constantly serve, and constantly put everyone else's needs above our own. It's like we've been programmed to wear a smile, say yes when we feel no, and bend ourselves into pretzels to make others comfortable, even when it's draining the life out of us. And if you're anything like many women out there, you've spent years, even decades living that way. But I need you to hear this. It's time to stop. You have permission to set boundaries. You have permission to take care of yourself. You have permission to put yourself first and to say no without feeling guilty. Your needs matter. Your emotional and mental well-being matter. You do not have to spend every moment of your life putting others first, sacrificing your peace, and allowing people to take more than you're willing or able to give. You have permission to say no without feeling guilty matter. You have permission to say no without feeling guilty matter. Embracing your boundaries means you are no longer apologizing for taking time for yourself. You are no longer making excuses for needing space. You are no longer feeling guilty for protecting your mental, emotional, and physical health. It's like this. You cannot pour from an empty cup. You cannot give your best, love your best, or show up your best if you are running on fumes. You can't keep giving and giving only to find yourself drained, bitter, and resentful. But when you learn to set boundaries, to draw lines that protect your energy, your joy, and your peace, you are better equipped to give from a place of abundance, not depletion. Now, setting boundaries isn't always easy, especially when we've spent so much time living for others. It can feel uncomfortable. It can feel foreign. It can feel like we're letting people down, disappointing those we care about. But let me tell you something. When you start honoring your boundaries, you're not only taking care of yourself, but you're also teaching others how to treat you. Boundaries are an act of self-respect. They show people that you value yourself and that you will not tolerate being mistreated or neglected. It's not about being rude or selfish. It's about making sure that you are whole so that you can be the best version of yourself for everyone, including yourself. Setting boundaries is essential for maintaining balance in your life. Without boundaries, your time, your energy, and your emotions become vulnerable to being taken advantage of. You start to lose track of who you are and what you need. You begin to give up your own dreams, your own goals, and your own desires just to make other people happy. But here's the thing, you cannot make everyone happy. No matter how hard you try, no matter how much you give, you will never be able to meet everyone's expectations. And the more you try to please everyone, the more you'll lose sight of what matters most, your own happiness. When you embrace your boundaries, you take back control over your life. You decide where your time goes, where your energy goes, and what you are willing to tolerate. You stop saying yes to things that drain you and start saying yes to things that empower you. You stop sacrificing your well-being for the sake of others' comfort and start making choices that reflect your worth and your values. Your boundaries help you define your priorities, and by honoring them, you protect what matters most, your peace of mind. But here's where many people struggle. We've been taught that saying no is selfish. We've been told that if we don't constantly give, we are being unkind. We've been conditioned to think that if we set boundaries, we are somehow letting people down or being inconsiderate. But I need you to understand something. Saying no is not an act of selfishness. It's an act of self-care. It's an act of self-love. And when you learn to say no with confidence and clarity, you are respecting both yourself and the other person. You are showing up for yourself in a way that says, I am worthy of my time, my energy, and my space. When you embrace boundaries, you begin to free yourself from the mental and emotional overload that comes with saying yes to everything. You release the pressure to constantly be everything to everyone. You give yourself permission to prioritize what matters to you, whether that's your career, your family, your health, or simply your own time and peace. And let me tell you this, you will not lose the love or respect of those who truly matter to you when you set boundaries. Those who care about you, those who value you, will respect your needs and your limits. It is only those who are used to taking, used to benefiting from your unending generosity, who will struggle with your boundaries. But the truth is, those are not the people you need in your life. The people who genuinely care about you will understand that your needs are just as important as theirs. They will support you in honoring your boundaries and will celebrate you for taking care of yourself. Setting boundaries is also a form of protecting your peace. We live in a world that constantly demands our attention, whether it's through work, relationships, social media, or external pressures. The noise can be overwhelming. But when you have strong boundaries, you create space for stillness, for clarity, and for the things that truly matter. You allow yourself to rest without guilt. You allow yourself to say no without feeling bad. You allow yourself the space to breathe, to recharge, and to be your best self. Now, I know some of you are sitting there thinking, but what about the people I love? What about the people I care about? And I hear you. You don't want to let anyone down. You want to be there for others. But here's the reality. You cannot be there for others if you're not there for yourself first. You cannot pour into someone else's cup if yours is empty. You cannot give love, support, or care to others if you are emotionally depleted. And when you honor your boundaries, you become a better version of yourself. You show up for others in a way that is full, strong, and present, rather than tired, drained, and resentful. So, what does it look like to truly embrace your boundaries? It looks like saying no without guilt. It looks like turning down invitations that don't align with your goals or your values. It looks like setting time aside for yourself, even if that means disappointing someone. It looks like making your needs known, even if it feels uncomfortable. It looks like standing firm in what you will and won't tolerate without apology. And let me remind you, your boundaries are not something you need to justify. You don't owe anyone an explanation for why you need time to rest, why you can't attend every social event, or why you have to say no to a request. Your boundaries are your right. You have the right to take care of yourself. You have the right to prioritize your peace. You have the right to honor your limits. When you learn to embrace your boundaries, You stop allowing others to dictate your life. You stop being controlled by the needs, wants, and demands of others. Instead, you begin to take back control of your time, your energy, and your future. And the more you practice setting boundaries, the easier it becomes. It becomes second nature. You begin to live a life that is aligned with your true self, your true desires, and your true purpose. You stop living in reaction to the needs of others and start living intentionally with focus, clarity, and joy. This isn't just about protecting your time, it's about protecting your energy, your peace, and your future. It's about making the decision that you are worth the effort it takes to set and maintain boundaries. You are worth taking time for. You are worth prioritizing. And when you make that choice, when you choose to embrace your boundaries, you are giving yourself the greatest gift you can. The gift of self-respect, self-love, and the power to live life on your terms. For so long, we've been conditioned to believe that true love, true friendship, and true success are all about sacrifice. We've been told that in order to be a good person, we must constantly give of ourselves, often at the expense of our own happiness. And while there is certainly a place for selflessness, there's also a dangerous lie that many of us buy into, the idea that our happiness is secondary to the happiness of others. But let me tell you this, when you make your happiness a sacrifice for others, you are doing both yourself and the people around you a disservice. It is not noble to lose yourself for the sake of others. It is not honorable to give so much of yourself that you end up empty, bitter, and resentful. And it's time we stop this. If you've been living your life constantly sacrificing your own well-being for the sake of making others happy, I need you to hear this. You are worthy of joy. You are worthy of peace. You are worthy of the same love, attention, and care that you so freely give to others. You cannot pour from an empty cup. And yet, how many times have you found yourself exhausted, drained, and feeling unappreciated because you've been pouring out all of your energy into everyone else's needs while neglecting your own? How many times have you compromised your own happiness just to keep the peace, just to make sure everyone around you is comfortable, just to meet the expectations placed on you by others? It's time to stop living this way. It's time to stop making your happiness conditional on how well you can meet the demands of others. It's time to break the cycle of self-sacrifice and realize that your happiness is just as important as anyone else's. Your joy is not a luxury, it's a necessity. When you prioritize your happiness, you become a better version of yourself, not just for you, but for everyone around you. You show up as a person who is whole, fulfilled, and at peace, and that is the most beautiful gift you can give to those you love. You see, there's this myth that if you truly love someone, whether it's a partner, a friend, a family member, you should be willing to sacrifice your own happiness for theirs. This myth has been perpetuated for generations, creating a toxic culture of self-neglect and martyrdom. But this idea is not only unhealthy, it's unsustainable. You cannot be your best self if you are constantly depleted. You cannot show love to others if you do not love yourself enough to take care of your own emotional and physical needs. And by sacrificing your happiness, you're teaching others that it's okay to let them take more than they should, to expect more than you can give, and to take advantage of your generosity and selflessness. Think about this. The people who truly love you want you to be happy. They want to see you fulfilled, thriving, and living a life of joy and purpose. They want to see you living authentically, not constantly trying to please them at the cost of your own happiness. If someone truly loves you, they will support you in your journey of self-care, growth, and fulfillment. If they truly care about you, they will respect your needs, your boundaries, and your right to be happy. But here's the reality. Sometimes the people in our lives don't always understand that. Sometimes they want us to keep giving, to keep sacrificing, because they've grown accustomed to having us meet their needs, take care of their emotional wounds, and bend ourselves out of shape to make them happy. But that's not your responsibility, and that's not a sustainable way to live. We must understand that it's okay to say no. It's okay to draw boundaries. It's okay to take a step back when we need to. You are not a bad person for taking care of yourself. In fact, taking care of yourself allows you to show up for others in a healthier, more genuine way. Sacrificing your happiness doesn't make you a better person. It doesn't make you more noble or more loving. It makes you a person who has lost sight of your own worth, your own needs, and your own happiness. When you continuously put others first, you're not truly helping them in the long run. You're enabling a pattern of dependency that ultimately leads to frustration, resentment, and exhaustion on both sides. The best way to help others is to be the best version of yourself. Someone who is content, fulfilled, and secure in their own happiness. Only then can you truly give love and support that is genuine and sustainable. It's important to remember that your happiness is not dependent on the approval of others. We often place so much pressure on ourselves to meet other people's expectations, to be what they want us to be, to do what they need us to do, that we lose sight of what actually makes us happy. If you constantly seek external validation, if you always try to make everyone else happy, you'll never truly find joy within yourself. Your happiness must come from within. It must be rooted in self-acceptance, self-worth, and self-love. When you make your happiness your priority, you will attract the right kind of people who respect and appreciate you for who you are, not for what you can do for them. And let's talk about guilt for a moment. Guilt is one of the most powerful forces that keeps us trapped in this cycle of self-sacrifice. We feel guilty for saying no. We feel guilty for taking time for ourselves. We feel guilty for needing rest or space. But guilt is not a healthy emotion. Guilt serves no purpose except to keep you in a state of self-neglect. It tells you that you are not worthy of taking care of yourself, that you are selfish for setting boundaries, and that you are somehow wrong for needing happiness in your own life. But guilt is a lie. It's a lie that keeps you stuck in patterns of behavior that drain your spirit and leave you feeling resentful. To break free from the guilt, you have to reframe the way you think about your happiness. Your happiness is not a commodity that you can give away freely to others. Your happiness is your birthright. And when you nurture it, you become stronger, healthier, and more equipped to face the challenges that come your way. The more you practice self-care and prioritize your own well-being, the more you are able to show up for the people you love in a way that is whole, strong, and authentic. It's also important to recognize that not everyone is going to understand when you start prioritizing your happiness. Some people may become upset. Some may even accuse you of being selfish. But this is where you need to stand firm. You are not being selfish by choosing to take care of yourself. You are not being selfish by saying no to things that drain you or that don't align with your values. In fact, you are being responsible. You are being responsible for your own emotional and mental well-being. You are being responsible for your own peace. And when you prioritize your happiness, you create a ripple effect that benefits not just you, but everyone around you. A happy, fulfilled person is a better friend, a better partner, a better parent, a better worker. You are better equipped to contribute to the world when you are at your best, when you are happy, when you are whole. So if you are in a relationship, a friendship, or a situation where you are constantly sacrificing your happiness for others, I challenge you to ask yourself, what would it look like if I chose myself? What would it look like if I decided to stop sacrificing my joy, my peace, my energy, just to make someone else happy? What would it look like if I stopped living for others and started living for myself? The answer is freedom. The answer is peace. The answer is fulfillment. It's time to stop sacrificing your happiness for others. It's time to break free from the chains of guilt, self-neglect, and martyrdom. You deserve happiness. You deserve peace. You deserve a life where your needs, your desires, and your well-being are just as important as everyone else's. And when you choose to prioritize your happiness, you not only transform your own life, but you also give others the permission to do the same. You have greatness inside of you. You may not always see it, and you may not always feel it, but it's there, deep within you, waiting to be recognized and unleashed. The world needs your greatness, your gifts, your talents, your potential. They are not accidents, and they were never meant to be hidden or diminished. You were not born to be mediocre. You were not born to live a life of quiet desperation, hiding in the shadows of other people's expectations or societal norms. You were born to shine. You were born to rise above, to break barriers, to lead, to inspire. But in order to do that, you must first make the decision to own your greatness. Owning your greatness is about acknowledging who you are at the core of your being. It's about accepting that you are enough just as you are, and that you have the power to achieve what you've always dreamed of. It's about no longer apologizing for your potential, for your dreams, for your ambitions. Too often we diminish ourselves out of fear. Fear of judgment, fear of failure, fear of standing out. But that fear is nothing but a barrier. It's a cage that keeps you from stepping into the fullness of who you were always meant to be. You have to tear that cage down and step into the freedom of your greatness. The first step in owning your greatness is believing in it. Believing in your own worth is not always easy, especially when you've been told by the world or by the people around you that you're not enough. But let me tell you something. Those voices are lies. The world may try to tell you that you're not worthy, that you're not capable, that you don't deserve success, but those voices do not define you. Only you can define your worth. And your worth is immeasurable. You are a unique, irreplaceable individual with something special to offer to the world. Your gifts are meant to be shared. And it's time to step out of the shadows and shine the way you were meant to. The reason so many of us hold back is because we've been conditioned to believe that showing up fully in our power is somehow wrong. We've been told that it's better to be humble, to downplay our strengths, to fit in and not rock the boat. We've been taught that if we stand too tall, if we shine too brightly, we'll make others uncomfortable. But listen to me. This world needs your light. The world needs you to show up as your true self, to claim your greatness, and to walk boldly in your purpose. The people who are meant to be in your life will celebrate your light, not feel threatened by it. Your light will inspire others to find their own, and together you will all rise. Owning your greatness also means accepting responsibility for your life and your choices. Too often we blame circumstances, other people, or external factors for our lack of progress or success. We blame our past, we blame our upbringing, we blame the system. While it's true that life is not always fair, and while we can't control everything that happens to us, we are always in control of how we respond. And we are always in control of how we move forward. You are not a victim of your circumstances unless you choose to be. You have the power to choose your path, to create your future, and to take action toward the life you desire. Don't let anyone or anything make you feel like you are powerless. You are powerful, and the moment you take responsibility for your life and your decisions is the moment you begin to own your greatness. Owning your greatness also means embracing the fact that failure is a part of the journey. We often hold back because we fear failure. We fear the embarrassment, the shame, the judgment that might come with it. But what if I told you that failure isn't something to be feared, it's something to be embraced? Failure is not the opposite of success, it is part of the process. Every successful person, every person who has ever achieved greatness has faced failure. They have stumbled. They have fallen, they have been knocked down, but what made them great is not that they avoided failure, but that they kept getting back up. They kept going, they learned from their mistakes, they grew from their challenges, and they kept moving forward. And so must you. If you want to own your greatness, you must be willing to fail, to get back up, and to keep pushing forward with even greater determination. It's also essential to recognize that owning your greatness doesn't mean you have to do it alone. There is power in community. There is power in surrounding yourself with people who believe in you, who challenge you, who support you, and who push you to be the best version of yourself. Too often, we try to do everything on our own, thinking that asking for help or support is a sign of weakness. But that is another lie. When you own your greatness, you recognize that you don't have to carry the weight of the world on your shoulders alone. You don't have to be perfect, and you don't have to have it all figured out. Surround yourself with those who lift you up, who encourage you, and who believe in your potential, and you'll find that your greatness becomes even more magnified in the company of others. Another crucial aspect of owning your greatness is learning to silence the negative voices in your head, the voice that tells you that you're not good enough, that you're not worthy, that you can't do it. These voices are not the truth. They are simply fear masquerading as doubt. The more you listen to them, the more power you give them over your life. But you have the ability to shut those voices down. Instead, you have the ability to replace them with thoughts of possibility, strength, and success. You can reframe your mindset to focus on what you can do rather than what you can't. The moment you start controlling your thoughts is the moment you start taking control of your destiny. You were never meant to live in fear. You were meant to rise above it, to step into your power and to own your greatness. In addition to silencing the negative voices within, owning your greatness means taking action. Faith without works is dead, as the saying goes. It's not enough to simply believe in your potential. You have to take action toward your goals. You have to move forward, even when it's hard, even when it feels like the odds are stacked against you. The path to greatness is rarely easy, and it will require effort, determination, and persistence. But every step you take, every action you make, brings you closer to your dreams. And even when it seems like you're not making progress, know that every action, no matter how small, is a step in the right direction. You have everything you need to succeed within you. All you have to do is take that first step and trust that the rest will follow. You also have to recognize that your greatness is not meant to be kept to yourself. It is meant to be shared with the world. The gifts, talents, and abilities you possess are not just for your own benefit. They are meant to be used to make a difference in the lives of others. When you step into your greatness, you inspire others to do the same. You show them that it's possible to live a life of purpose, passion, and fulfillment. You give them permission to own their own greatness. And in doing so, you create a ripple effect that can change the world. Greatness isn't about self-aggrandizement. It's about service. It's about using what you've been given to make the world a better place. One of the most powerful aspects of owning your greatness is learning to trust yourself. Trusting your intuition, your instincts, and your ability to make decisions that are aligned with your purpose. Too often, we seek validation from others, asking for their opinions, looking for their approval before we take action. But when you own your greatness, you realize that you don't need anyone else's permission to live the life you desire. You are the expert on your own life. You know what's best for you. And when you trust yourself and make decisions based on your own wisdom, you empower yourself to move forward with confidence and clarity. And finally, owning your greatness means showing up every single day, even when it's hard. There will be days when you want to quit, when you want to give up, when you feel like your dreams are too far out of reach. But remember, greatness is not achieved overnight. It is built through consistent effort, persistence, and resilience. Every day that you show up, every day that you keep going, you are one step closer to the person you were always meant to be. And when you own your greatness, you don't just show up for yourself. You show up for the people who are counting on you, the people who believe in you, and the people who need your light. Keep showing up, keep pushing forward, and keep believing in your own power. The world is waiting for you to step into your greatness, and it's time to stop hiding and start shining. From the moment we are born, we are conditioned to seek approval. We look to our parents, our teachers, our peers, and even society at large to validate our existence and to tell us who we are, what we should do, and how we should behave. We are raised in an environment where praise, recognition, and acknowledgement from others are often equated with success. We get used to the feeling of being seen, heard, and praised for our achievements, our appearance, our actions. The desire for approval becomes so deeply ingrained in us that it often shapes every decision we make, every move we take, and every path we choose. But here's the truth: seeking external approval is a trap. It's a trap that keeps you stuck, constantly seeking validation from others while never truly finding the peace, contentment, or confidence that comes from within. We've all experienced it. Looking for someone else's approval before we take action, second-guessing ourselves because of someone else's opinion, and shrinking our dreams and ambitions to fit into what others expect of us. But I need you to hear this loud and clear. Your worth, your value, and your purpose are not defined by anyone else. You don't need permission from anyone to be great. You don't need to seek constant validation from external sources to live an authentic life. It's time to release the need for external approval and start living for yourself. When you rely on others for approval, you give away your power. You allow other people's opinions, judgments, and expectations to control how you feel about yourself. This creates an emotional roller coaster where your self-esteem is tied to whether or not others approve of you, whether or not they agree with your choices, and whether or not they affirm your worth. If you're constantly looking for others to validate you, you are in a perpetual state of dependency. You become like a leaf in the wind, blown back and forth by the ever-changing opinions of others. One minute you feel on top of the world because someone compliments you or agrees with your decision. The next minute you feel worthless because someone criticizes you or questions your choices. The problem with seeking external approval is that it's an unending cycle. No matter how much praise or validation you get, it's never enough. You may seek it from one person, and when you get it, you'll move on to the next, constantly searching for more. This is why people who seek approval often feel unfulfilled, even after achieving their goals or receiving accolades. The problem lies in the fact that they are looking outside of themselves for something that can only be found within. No one else can give you the validation, the confidence, and the self-assurance that you are truly worthy. That comes from you, from knowing and embracing who you are at your core, regardless of what anyone else thinks or says. The truth is, we all have a unique path to follow. We are all individuals with our own dreams, desires, and ambitions. But when we live our lives based on what others think or approve of, we lose our individuality. We start to blend into the crowd, shaping ourselves into the person we think others want us to be, rather than embracing the person we were truly meant to be. We shrink our dreams, dull our light, and limit our potential because we're too afraid to stand out and be different. But living for the approval of others will never bring you the fulfillment you crave. It will only keep you stuck in a pattern of seeking and never truly receiving the peace and satisfaction that comes from living authentically. Releasing the need for external approval is about reclaiming your personal power. It's about stepping into your true self and trusting that who you are is enough. When you release the need for external approval, you free yourself from the prison of other people's opinions. You stop letting others dictate your choices, your behavior, and your self-worth. You begin to make decisions that are in alignment with your values, your purpose, and your truth, not based on the fear of what others might think or say. It's not an easy process to let go of the need for approval. For most of us, it's something we've been conditioned to do since childhood. We've been praised for being good, for following the rules, for meeting expectations. We've been told that our worth is based on what others think of us, and as a result, we've learned to shape ourselves to fit into the molds that society, our families, and our friends have created for us. But the truth is, living a life that is based on pleasing others is a life that is not truly yours. It's a life lived for others, not for yourself. And when you live for others, you lose sight of your own desires, your own dreams, and your own needs. Releasing the need for external approval means trusting yourself enough to make decisions based on what feels right for you, rather than what feels right for others. It means stepping away from the constant need for validation and learning to trust your own judgment. It means accepting that not everyone will agree with you, not everyone will approve of your choices, and that's okay. It's important to understand that your path is your own, and it doesn't need to be approved by anyone else in order for it to be valid. As you begin to release the need for external approval, you'll start to notice a sense of freedom. You'll feel lighter, more authentic, and more at peace. You won't feel as though you're living in a constant state of comparison, constantly measuring yourself against others. Instead, you'll begin to appreciate your uniqueness, your individuality, and the qualities that make you who you are. And when you embrace your true self, when you stop seeking approval from others, you'll start to attract the people who appreciate you for who you truly are. You'll surround yourself with people who support you, who uplift you, and who celebrate your individuality rather than those who try to mold you into something that you're not. The key to releasing the need for external approval is self-acceptance. When you accept yourself fully, flaws, imperfections, strengths, and weaknesses, you no longer need others to validate your worth. You recognize that you are worthy simply because you exist. You are enough just as you are. And when you begin to live from this place of self-acceptance, you stop seeking approval from others because you no longer feel the need to prove anything to anyone. You begin to live your life with confidence, knowing that you are worthy of love, success, and happiness without needing someone else's stamp of approval. In the process of releasing external approval, it's important to recognize that it's okay to care about others' opinions, but it's not okay to let their opinions define you. There's a difference between being open to feedback, listening to advice, and being constantly ruled by what others think. When you open yourself up to feedback, you do so from a place of strength, knowing that you have the ability to discern what is helpful and what is not. But when you live for approval, you are constantly seeking to please others, even at the cost of your own peace and happiness. You end up compromising your values, your desires, and your authenticity in an attempt to gain the approval of others. But the truth is, you will never find peace in trying to please everyone. It's an impossible task. You will always be at the mercy of other people's opinions, and that will leave you feeling empty and unfulfilled. Releasing the need for external approval also requires you to embrace the discomfort of standing in your own truth. It's not always easy to go against the grain, to do something that others may not understand or approve of. It takes courage to stand firm in your beliefs and your choices when the world is telling you to do something different. But the beauty of owning your truth, of releasing the need for approval, is that you begin to trust yourself. You start to realize that the only person you need to please is yourself. Your happiness, your peace, and your fulfillment come from living authentically, not from living for the approval of others. As you begin to live from this place of self-assurance, you will notice that the fear of judgment or rejection becomes less powerful. You'll stop seeking validation because you'll understand that the most important validation comes from within. You will stop comparing yourself to others because you'll realize that you are on your own unique journey, and that's all that matters. And when you give yourself permission to be who you are, when you accept yourself fully, you will find the freedom to pursue your dreams, to take bold action, and to create a life that is true to who you are. Letting go of the need for external approval is not something that happens overnight. It's a journey, a process of rediscovering who you are, trusting yourself, and releasing the old patterns and beliefs that have kept you stuck in a cycle of seeking validation. But when you make the decision to stop living for the approval of others, you step into your power. You step into your true self. And you begin to live the life that is meant for you. The world needs you, not the version of you that is shaped by others' expectations, but the authentic, powerful, unique you. It's time to stop seeking approval and start living for yourself.